if all has gone according to plan, this will be the second time you're seeing me, and hopefully not a very long time. It's Brittany from Ingleside Imaginarium, of course. I assume if you found my video, you had looked for it, perhaps, and if not, well, welcome. Hopefully it'll be a nice surprise to sit with me and talk about stitchy things for a little bit. So you may have just seen my Stitch Mania plans video. Hopefully you got to watch that one. And hopefully by splitting this up, I'll have 2 shorter videos instead of one very long one. I was ironing all my projects in preparation to show you guys and realized I was getting quite a large stack between the 2 things that I needed to talk about. So this video, the other one is my Mania plans. This video is just my typical WIP update since the last time I saw you. And I think we'll go ahead and get started. First things first, I guess you'll notice that I'm back in New York City rather than at my parents' house in Nashville, I believe is where the last video was filmed. And it's good to be back. I'm back at work at the costume shop. You know, things just have kind of fallen into place, same old, same old. I was able to switch around my storage for my cross-stitch stuff, which was very exciting, as well as take another step forward in my business, which I'll talk about a little later, perhaps. But for now, let's go ahead and jump right in and show you guys some stitching. So I had 2 kind of finishes, I guess, this month. And by this month, I mean since I last saw you. Although, yeah, it has been about a month. I don't have to feel too bad. It's been more a month and a half, but considering I've been gone sometimes, I think for up to a couple months, to maybe I was gone for 6 months one time. I don't know. Could be. But the first thing that I want to show you is take a look at my new salve for this year. So this is A War of Tooth and Claw by Ingleside Imaginarium. It is the mystery stitch along that I've been releasing so far, and it is vaguely themed around Game of Thrones. So it is all about heraldry and animals and heraldry, and when I send out the emails, I like to go into a little bit about what each animal represents in heraldry and that kind of thing. Just a little history behind that. And the idea is that there are 8 animal monarchs who are all fighting for this glittery, glittery crown in the middle. So the crown is done in 3 shades of Petite Treasure Braid by Rainbow Gallery. And you'll notice on the 2 the 2 monarchs who have been released that each is wearing its own glittery crown. Which, by the way, this is monarch number 3, and he's hiding. So, last time you would have seen the stag monarch down here. And this last month, the pattern has been releasing on the 14th of each month, was the falcon monarch. So this guy is new to you guys. The colors are blue and white with a bit of yellow for his beak and his feet. And he's wearing a copper colored crown as well as copper sparkly jesses. Now the hawk or falcon, typically in heraldry, they're indistinguishable from each other. However, I did read that if there were some sort of pun involved, someone could claim it was a hawk instead of a falcon. For example, if their last name was like Hawksworth or something, then they probably would have a hawk as their sigil or in their heraldry, in their coat of arms, whatever you'd like to say. So I should have looked this up before I started the video. But if I'm remembering right, the falcon, kind of the meaning behind the falcon according to the American College of Heraldry, is that once this person or once this creature is after something, it won't give up. And the other thing about falcons in heraldry is oftentimes they are shown with jesses. They're belled and jessed, which if you're familiar with kind of medieval and historic sporting events / hunting techniques, falconry was something that a lot of nobles would participate in. A lot of castles and, fiefdoms or whatever you want to call it had mews where they kept a whole bunch of falcons that were used for hunting. And I assume that hunting sometimes was, a sport, and probably sometimes was also for actual food purposes. And the jesses, so the falcons were often hooded, which this one is not hooded, but they also were, which the hood would be taken off when the falcon was set on its prey. The jesses were long leather strips that had bells attached to them, which were used to, if you had the falcon on your hand and it got spooked or something, you would hold on to the jesses, and that way it couldn't fly away. And I believe the bells were used to keep track of where your bird is. And if you remember the King Arthur story, or at least the version that's in the one that I read, Once and Future King, I believe that Wirt, the reason that he went into the forest and met Merlin the first time was because he was chasing a hawk, one of his hawks who had flown out into not his hawks, but Sir Kay's hawks, who had flown into the forest. And that's how he met Merlin, I think, if I'm remembering correctly. But yes, so that is the first 2 monarchs in the new series. And speaking of series, first episode of Game of Thrones came out, and I'm pretty satisfied. I'm very disappointed and sad that there's only 5 left, but I was talking to my dad about it today on the phone, and every story has an ending, So it needs to happen, but it's still sad. So yes, that is War of Tooth and Claw, the Ingleside Imaginarium mystery cell for this year. And this is a new Ingleside Imaginarium pattern that has not quite been released yet, but look for it very, very soon. It is, I'm hoping, the first in a series of seasonal patterns. And this one is called a Gamboling. You can see here it's been fully finished into a cute little spring pillow. And it features a big black dog, a gamboling through a spring field with the wind blowing through the lilac tree. Now, if you have watched my stitching videos before, you'll probably recognize, or maybe not, but this is the second big black dog that's featured in one of my WIPs, / this one is a finish. And this is based on my sister's dog who passed away last fall. It's a gift for her. It was her birthday, April 11th, and I'm hoping to make a series out of these. This one is stitched on a 28 count even weave in light blue by Witchell that I purchased at Joann's. And most of the threads, except for the white on her chest, are Weeks Dye Works. So I believe it uses 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 colors of Weeks Dye Works and 1 DMC, which is that white on her chest. I really like this. I'm going to make it a seasonal pattern, so there will be 3 more, and I'll probably finish them all into cute little pillows like this. I'm very pleased that I had the perfect color ribbon to add, and yeah, I'm actually really, really pleased with this. I sew a lot at work, but I don't often get my sewing machine out at home, so it was kind of fun to pull it out and get to put something together like this. So I'm very pleased. I think it's really cute, and I know that it's going to mean a lot to her. So that is a Gamboling. Look for it very, very soon. I just have to put the PDF together. I was waiting to finish it up so I could get a picture for the front of it and pictures for my Etsy store, and then yeah, it'll be up soon. And let's see, those are my 2 finishes. Well, yeah, that's a finish. That's a mini finish. So next, let's look at stitching WIPs. So these are all kind of piecemeal, except for I did participate in the Michelle Bendy birthday sal. She had us stitch for 3 days for her birthday. The first day was something starting with a B or having to do with a B. The second day was something starting with an S, something having to do with S, bendy, stitchy, and then the last one, the third day, was BS. for Bendy Stitchy. And so I picked 3 projects to work on. The first one for B was, and if you've watched my Mania plans, you'll have seen this already, but it is from this booklet, Barnyard Quilts by Country Cross Stitch. This is an old book, older than me, and this project is actually older than me as well. My mother started it back in the 80s before I was born, and I'm finishing it. So for Michelle's birthday, I stitched the whole blue border on that second quilt. This is a cute project. I'm excited to get to pull it out for Mania again in just a few weeks. On the second day, for the letter S, I worked on one of the Ingleside Imaginarium patterns for, one of those WIPs that I have, and I worked on Summer Dragon. Here's what he'll look like when he's finished. And here's where he's at now. So I worked on him a little bit since Michelle's birthday sal as well, but for her birthday, I finished up the 4th color on him, which was the darker gray and his white stripes. And since then, I've actually filled in his white stripes and have moved on. You can see here to the darkest shade of green. There are 3 shades of green, 3 shades of yellow, 2 shades of white, or a white and a gray. And yeah, I'm so pleased with how he's coming along. I think he's going to be really cool. And I just want to work on him always. Yeah, he's pretty awesome. And then for BS, Bendy Stitchy, you could work on something that had to do with those letters, or something that you felt like was BS. And so what I ended up doing, this starts with a B, so it kind of goes along there. It also uses the DMC satin threads, which are a little BS to work with if you've ever worked with them. Kind of give a neat effect, but they're tricky. This is a project by a design by Pinky the Pink. I got it on her Etsy store, and it is the Barn Owl Familiar. If you watched my Mania plans, you'll have just seen this one as well. But for Bendy's birthday, for Michelle's birthday, I stitched all of from here down to the legs and then up. Those are all half stitches that I have to go back and cross the other leg on. This is another project that I'm really pleased with how it's coming along. I think it's going to be a sweet little project. This is a linen by Picture This Plus 32 count in Murky, which, yeah, you can really see it's murky down here. So besides the birthday sal for Michelle, I did work on some other projects, and those were, again, kind of piecemeal, a little random. Something that I did get to do, and I think I told you that I was excited about doing, is I got to attend the Nashville Needlework Market. It just so happened to work out that I was doing the show out in Illinois. I had borrowed my mom's car. It ended the weekend before market. So I would have been driving through Nashville anyway to drop off my mom's car. And yeah, it just worked out perfect time-wise for me to go. So this year I had messaged them and said, I'm an up-and-coming designer. I would love to just come and look and see what it's all about and get to talk with some of the vendors there and that kind of thing. And they were like, great, yeah, of course. We'd love for you to come. So I had a badge, I had registered, and I got to go in, and I was actually feeling a little intimidated and a little nervous going in. I knew 3 people that were going to be there. The first was Stephanie at Lindy Stitches, the second was Trisha from 3L Threads, and the third was Julie from Reflections Framing and Stitching. And I had Stephanie's phone number, and I was texting her. She had texted or had messaged me first and was like, yeah, we definitely need to meet up. Let's exchange numbers to make it a little easier. And so I had told her, yeah, I'm going to be here around this time. I hope it's okay for me to come stop by. She was like, yeah, of course. But, I was still feeling a little nervous. So the first thing that I see when I go into the hotel, it's at the Embassy Suites down outside of Nashville. And I go in, and of course the Embassy Suites usually have that giant kind of, what do you call it? The rooms are all on the edge of the hotel, and there's an atrium in the middle, I guess maybe you would call it. And you look up and you can see where all the rooms are at on the side of this huge atrium in the middle that has seating, and it's where their breakfast happens and that kind of thing. And I come in and I look up, and there are banners from all of the stitching stores around hanging off the balconies. And it's 3 full floors of stitching things. And I'm looking and I see all kinds of names that I recognize. Picture This Plus was there. Blackbird Designs was there. Plum Street Samplers, I believe, was there. Just all these names that I had read online and have purchased their patterns or have stitched their patterns or, whatever. And I just got really nervous all of a sudden. It's like, oh, these are the real deal people. So I was there to do 2 things that night. This was Friday night. The market went, early bird shopping was Friday night, and then the market ran Saturday and Sunday. I was just, So I go in, and the first thing I needed to do was register. The second thing that I was meaning to do was to go and see Steph at Lindy Stitches. And so I went in, I push the elevator button, go up to the 2nd floor where registration is so I can pick up my badge and check in. And when it gets to the 2nd floor, the doors open and I hear somebody say, "Brittany?" And I look and it's Julie from Reflections. I've said that, how many times. Anyway, it was Julie McConnell, and all I could say was, "I think this is fate," and give her a big hug, and we got to chat and catch up a little bit. I'm sorry, Julie, that I didn't get to see you longer, because I know that you were busy, and I watched your post-market video and heard how busy you were. And I was also busy and still feeling a little intimidated. So I kind of talked to some people and then was like, and that's enough, being a responsible businesswoman for now. And anyway, it just was a great way to start out the weekend. And yeah, to have been there for 2 minutes, and one of the only 3 people I knew that were going to be there, and that I knew in person, well, one of 2 people I'd met in person, one of 3 people I was looking forward to meeting, was right there when the elevator doors opened. It was really, really pretty special. It definitely felt like one of those moments where I was supposed to be there. So I get registered, and then I go up and meet Steph, and she is just as wonderful in real life as she is in her videos. And we got to hang out for a little bit, and I got to see her and hang out with her for a little bit. I walked around and looked at some stuff. Trisha came in and stopped by too, so I got to see her and give her a big hug, and got to meet Leaf, which was fun. And yeah, it just was really neat. The next day I came back on Saturday and got to go around and talk with the people from Gentle Arts, the people from Weeks, the people from Rainbow Gallery. Mostly I went and talked to the fabric and thread suppliers, because as a designer, that's the people I wanted to make connections with. And it just was a really great experience. I think I told Stephanie that I hadn't had to so back when I was auditioning more, / when I was auditioning in college, there are these things called cattle call auditions. So basically you go for 90 seconds in front of a bunch of different companies, and you can do 90 seconds worth of singing and acting. And then you go around afterwards to each of their hotel rooms. This usually happens in a hotel or somewhere where they specify if they want to see more of you. So you have to go and write down who all wants to see you again. And then you have to go and sign up for a time to see them on each of their hotel rooms. And it just it felt a little bit like that. And I was worn out afterwards, but I had, the list, and I walked around and looked and talked with people, and it just was very encouraging for me as a, fairly young and fairly young designer, and I think, and what was reiterated to me as I showed off some of my designs while I was there was that I was doing something that not a lot of other people are doing. So that was pretty cool. It definitely kind of kicked me in the butt to get to work on my original designs, get some smalls out, and I have plans for other smalls, and like, I mean, maybe, hopefully, get a room there next year. We'll see. We'll see how the rest of this year goes. You never know what can come up, but it's just like, I want to do it. So that was cool. Saying that, all that goes into saying, I then pulled out some of my original patterns and was like, I need to get these done. So one of those patterns is my Deep Below pattern. This is what it will vaguely look like when it's finished. And this is where I'm at now. So last time you saw this, I had the kind of archway of this cave done, and I think up to about this tree over here and under the fox. And you can see everything from the fox upward I finished since market. So I've got a little fox there, and I've got a deer, and the stream has continued up the mountain. This is going to be a really beautiful project, I think, when it's finished, and I'm looking forward to getting more progress on it. I'm really looking forward to getting to that dragon, but of course I'm going to save it to last so I can get through the whole mountain first. And the other project that is an original design that I really wanted to get some work done on it and get it ready and released and get started on the next one maybe was my water dragon, the first in hopefully a series of 4 elemental dragons. And here is where I'm at. And you may be looking at that thinking, she's so close to being finished. And you're kind of correct. However, as I mentioned in my last video, my concern as far as this piece goes is that I had started using a hand-dyed thread from a supplier who it seems has kind of disappeared. I can't get to her website, and I think people who've tried to contact her have not heard back. So I was able to find another hand-dyed thread, and I'm replacing it with that one because obviously I don't want to release a pattern using a thread that's going to be hard for people to find. So I went with one of the more dependable, I guess you want to say, dyers, and I've exchanged it for a week's, which is probably going to make the price point go up a little bit on that. I'm sorry for that, but I just wanted to make sure you guys could get a hold of it. And I know that you're not afraid of substituting. So to go along with that, so the new thread is in this fin here on the head and is in the back fin and this part section here. Unfortunately, this whole bit of stitching is probably going to have to come out because that's the old thread. And I personally would not feel good showing off a model stitch that is not using the recommended threads, you know. So I do think I'm going to have to pull out that stuff. And then I still need to pull out the insides of the feet and the gill fins as well here. So still quite a bit to go on him, unfortunately, before I can get to the metallics on his tummy and then the beads. But seeing him like this, though, is pretty darn exciting. It's going to be really cool. I got to meet Doug Krynick at market and show him this because I told him I'm going to be using your threads on it, and he was really excited about my dragons, and it just made me feel really good that I got so much positive reinforcement on my patterns from the people who see a lot of stitching. So that was cool. These other pieces are not market related, as in these are just random pieces that I was able to work on. I tried doing Stephanie Miss Oh So Crafty's birthday sal, but it just happened to be a week where I ended up being a lot busier than I thought I was going to be. And so I forget what I worked on for the first day, but I think I only made it through 2 of the themes, maybe. Oh, only 1 of the themes. Day 1 was supposed to be something starting with an S, and so I worked on Summer Dragon again, which I already showed you, so I won't start that. Day 2 was going to be Jewel Tones, and Stephanie was very kind and was like, I think you can make this Summer Dragon fit for the first 3 days, and then you'll be caught up. But then I ended up getting tickets to see a show, and just like everything worked out. I was too busy that week. But I started working for Jewel Tones. I did get a little work done on my Targaryen house banner, which is by Lolita Made Designs. And this is what it will look like when it's finished. And this is where I'm at. And I stitched 2 letters. And I picked this for the Jewel Tones day because it looks like a ruby. It is 8/17 on a piece of fabric from Hand Dyed Fabrics by Stephanie. This is Valyrian steel, so picked because of Jessie Marie's House Stark banner. She's stitching it on Valyrian steel, and I was so excited about her idea of, you know, including the fabric and the whole Game of Thrones theme that I was like, I'm going to do my Targaryen banner on Valyrian steel. And Targaryens are black and red, so I think it still works for their colors. For Dark 13 stitching, I worked on my Haunted Halloween Nights from this book, which is called Carousel Horses and Cross Stitch. It's by the Donna Kooler studio, and that is what it will look like when it's finished. This one's called Haunted October Nights. I can't remember if I said that. And this was a fun one to pull out, and y'all, I am getting so close to getting all the cross stitching done on this project. I filled in this down here. I filled in all those blue stitches, and I got the bars and dots to either side of it done as well. So this is on a 28 count Gamboling in Lazy River. And this, I just think this is looking so cool. I still have to do, there's a witch and a moon up here. And then there's a big old checkered border that I'm going to have to do in the same kind of orangey browns, these colors. And it goes all the way up and around, and then there's another cat at the top, and then it's going to be a whole bunch of backstitch. But this one is going to be so rewarding to backstitch because all of these little pictures and all of these little leaves and the little decorations on the horse and the horse's tack and everything, it's just going to really pop once I get all that backstitching in. This would be such an exciting finish. Maybe it'll happen this year. We'll see. Who knows? Along with all those other things I want to / need to finish. And then it looks like I have only two more projects to show you. This is Country Cottage Needleworks in the Meadow. If you just watched my Mania plans, you will have seen it. But I believe I have worked on this since my last video. This one I may try and finish before it comes up in Mania. It's slated for May 13th. And I'm very close to finishing it. So last time you saw this on Flosstube, I believe I had the snowman finished and a little bit of this snow down here finished. But you can see I've finished the snowbank he's on, and then also started stitching 2 of the 4 trees next to him. So there's 4 pine trees or evergreen trees, and then there's this border on the bottom as well. That's not too much. I could really probably do that in 2 weeks if this was the project that I stitched on for the next 2 weeks. And maybe that's what I'll try and do. We'll see. It's always fun, Dad, and you know, I'll have another new start. And for all of these projects in my Stitch Mania that are 4 years old at this point, you know, it'll be nice to check another one off the list. So now, here's the last one that I'm going to show you. I mentioned Loretta, my sister's dog, in this pattern. This is the giant portrait that I am doing of her, a realistic portrait that I converted and stylized from a photo of her. It is on a piece of 32 count Lugana and Sprite from Picture This Plus, and this is what it will look like when it's finished. And this is where I'm at now. So last time you saw this, I had part of this ear finished and a little bit coming down here, and her eyes and kind of the bridge of her nose done. Since you saw it last, I filled in this part of the ear and got kind of, you can see where her cute, adorable smile is going to be. So yeah, her nose is going to be here, and then this comes around, that's her jaw right there. So this is going to be really, really nice. I'm super excited about it. I talked to my sister today because I sent her a picture of the pillow. I wanted to show it off on here and on my Instagram and slash get the pattern ready for release. And didn't, you know, I wanted to show her first. So I sent her a picture, and I said, now, it's not the big Loretta. I said, I stitched something for you as a late birthday present, and it's not the big Loretta, you know, that's not done yet. And she was like, oh no, I know, that's going to take forever to stitch, isn't it? And I was like, yeah. So, yeah, that I think is all that I'm going to share with you guys today. I have a little bit of market haul. I stopped by Kathy Barrick's room, and gosh, to see all of her projects up close and personal, holy cow. But the project that I got from her was the moth that she released this year, as well as the chain to make it into the little necklace. And she said it's 1/1 on 40 count. And I said, I think I can do that. So I don't know when I'm going to start it, but I have the pattern and the chain for that. And because it's 1/1 on 40 count, I think I could use the MPIs on that and feel, you know, that wouldn't break the bank. I think that would be a nice challenge for me. And then I also purchased some patterns from Stephanie at Lindy Stitches, of course. I wanted to support her, and her patterns are beautiful. I got the To the Bows, is it called? The one with the birds. As birds are fitted to the bows, so was my love to me, I believe is the verse that's on it. You all have seen it. It's gorgeous, and a lot of people are stitching it. I got her sampler with the owls, and then I got her rabbit lace trio. And then I also, what else? I ordered some more of her patterns on Etsy because she was out of them at market, amazingly. I got Mr. and Mrs. Delicious as well as the Walter sampler. And oh, the other thing I wanted to say was she has a really gorgeous new pattern that's coming out that I'll probably be purchasing as well. I got a sneak peek at it, but I won't say anything about it just in case she wants it to be a surprise. But it's really beautiful, and I recognized immediately, you know, what it was. But other than that, I don't have anything to say. I think market was kind of the most exciting thing to talk about. And Mania's coming up, and you might have already seen my Mania plans, so there's that. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna see if this works. Rhaegar! Come here, buddy! Oh, here's Danny. Hi, baby. Come here. I'll see if Danny will come up to see us. Come on. I called for Rhaegar, but Danny works too. Oh, here's Rhaegar. Come on, kitties. Rhaegar's gonna come up. Hi, buddy. Did you say hello to everybody on Flosstube? Here's Rhaegar. He's doing well. Everybody made the trip just fine. It's been a gloomy day today, and he's been very needy. He was probably taking a nap in the other room. He's purring now. So Rhaegar's good. Danny just walked out, so I don't think you're going to get to see her. I won't force her to be in the video. But yeah, that's what you guys come here for, stitching and cats, right? So yeah, that's everything. I hope everyone is doing well, and at least you know for sure that you're going to see me in a month, because I'll be back with my Stitch Mania results to show you. I'm usually pretty dependable on that, at least. Come up here. No, make room for Danny. Come up, baby. Rhaegar just wants me to pet him. Come here. Oh no, she left again. Anyway, yes, I'm pretty dependable on that. So I'll see you guys shortly. In the meantime, thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you so much for watching and commenting. Actually, there is one more thing that I should comment on, and that is the events of this past week. As many of you guys know, the iconic Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris caught on fire, and the entire wooden roof and the iconic, again, the spire fell over from the fire damage and was, irreparable, lost. Fortunately, from what I've read, the stained glass windows were all fairly, they've all managed to survive, or at least the giant rose window that partially inspired my pattern, Guardians of Notre Dame, survived. This is Goobian, by the way. I don't know if you guys know Goobian or not. This is my roommate's kitten. He's not so much a kitten, but he is much smaller than Rhaegar, so I call him a kitten still. Anyway, I was talking about something serious. I can't be distracted by cats. The rose window was not destroyed, and, the facade and the towers weren't spared, which I'm so thankful for. Obviously, nobody could have predicted this, and, as a result of the fire and in response to people wanting something to memorialize the cathedral and kind of lament, or the fact that it won't be the same, I believe, and something that I saw there was this huge diorama and diagrams of each state, or each incarnation of the cathedral that has been over the years. It started out when it was first made as just the main cathedral, then the wings were added on, and then the towers, etc., etc. And just as each of those was the Notre Dame Cathedral, I believe that whatever state it is in after it is repaired is just a new stage in the life of the cathedral. A building that old, and with how all of the worship and all of the energy, that the human life and energy that has been put into that building, it's going to last. Yes, it won't be the same, but it is still going to be the Notre Dame Cathedral. Anyhow, all that is to say, this past week, I've experienced a huge increase in sales of my Guardians of Notre Dame pattern. This is a hard situation for me, because I do feel a little bit like I'm profiting off of a disaster and profiting off of people's feelings and desires to mourn this building and the damage that happened. And at first my thought was, oh, perhaps I can donate some of the proceeds of the sale of my pattern to restoration and repairs on the cathedral. However, there, if you've been watching the news, you'll know that there are people with far more power and influence than I who have pledged to donate hundreds of thousands of dollars, which is great. And I think that what I could donate is just a drop in a bucket for that cause. But my thought is I would like to find something smaller that I can take some of the proceeds of this week, especially this week's sales of the Guardians of Notre Dame pattern, to put it towards another cause. I still have some research to do on what that cause will be, but hopefully it will be something along the lines of perhaps there's another cultural institution that is in need of repairs or has experienced a disaster, something smaller that the money that I contribute to, it will make a difference at that level. Because there's, so many places. Notre Dame is huge, and it is beloved by so many people that it has the attention, it has the funds now to be repaired. Whereas there might be other places that, don't have the same notoriety and the same, I'm sorry, Rhaegar, the same base of patronage, I guess, the amount of people who are willing to put money towards it. So that's what I have to say about that. When I do find a cause that I would like to contribute this money towards, I will make an announcement on my Facebook page, on my Instagram page. I might also send out an email to those who have purchased the pattern this week and just say, hey, this is the cause that you've supported by purchasing this pattern, and in honor of Notre Dame, the money is going to whichever cause I'm able to find and feel good about contributing to. Also with that clause will be, if you purchased it this week and you do not want your money to go towards that cause, hopefully I'll find something that most people will feel good about supporting, then, that is also fine. Just let me know. But yeah, that's what I have to say about that. It was really hard to watch that fire, and the videos and the pictures are just, it was a little heartbreaking, and it made me so grateful I was able to be there in person. And I wrote in a post on Facebook that one of the most special days of my life was when I got to go up in the towers at Notre Dame and get to see, all of the chimeras and look out on Paris that way. And it was, being in that cathedral, it just felt like I was connecting with centuries worth of fellow humans. And whether you're religious or not, it just feels like a holy space. The idea that people built it is just really cool, especially with how old it is that people built it back then. So that's all I have to say on that, I suppose. Thank you for everyone who has, purchased that pattern this week, and I'll be in touch about what you guys are supporting with your purchase. And on that more serious note, I can now say goodbye. I'll see you guys in a couple weeks. Thanks for your support. Thanks for your comments and subscriptions, etc., etc. And I'll see you soon. Bye.